Q&A. How come Hillary has body doubles? Well, if she is a clone, why wouldn't they make them look the same? Well, they only have to be similar. Most people don't notice the subtle differences. They just think, oh, they've changed the hair or they've dyed the hair or whatever. Most people don't notice. You know, we exposed Hillary's double, was it 2 years ago? Maybe 2.5 years ago. I think her name was Teresa Barnwell. It came up today again on the Facebook page. They look similar. So when Hillary looks a bit fatter, that's Teresa Barnwell, and she has others. As far as I'm concerned, she died on September the 4th, a few years back. But they only have to look similar. This is the problem, and people don't notice. Why should they think that that's not that person? And yet if you go and type in Hillary Clinton, you'll see about 4 different people, maybe more. You type in Britney Spears, you'll see about 6. Lady Gaga, an awful lot more. You know, people do change, but not drastically. Why has Donald Trump got orange hair one day and white hair the next? Go and look for yourself. Once you start really looking, then you see. But first people have got to come to the conclusion that that's not them. To most people that's utter madness. No, body doubles. And yet they watch movies and go to the theatre and watch movies and watch body doubles and think nothing. Is the movie fiction or is the movie fact? Is life fact or fiction? It all blares into the same. Kim has always said 50% of the people and 50% of the governments. I'm feeling strongly that the government shouldn't be given nothing, particularly the US government. Well, you could argue that point, but then you give 100% to the people. And it, for argument's sake, it gets divvied up and everyone gets a share. Are they going to invest it in infrastructure that we require? Are they going to invest it in building up businesses or industry? Not so much in America, but in other countries. Or will the people go on a spending spree so that there's nothing left? How many people will decide to go and build an organic farm with their money? How many people will decide that they'll pool it together and build a health centre? You know, there's lots of things that people in the community would like to participate in. But if everyone got their own money, how many would be willing to then still go and put the money in? It would be very few, and therein lies the problem. The problem is not so much the government, the problem is who runs the government, and there is the big difference. We need to remove the deep state people and the global elites and allow people in government to actually govern for and by the people. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with governments. Yes, we've given them far too much power because we've ignored everything they put forward collectively. But the governments are responsible for improving public health service and building new hospitals and adding technology for this, that and the other. How many of the people will spend their money investing in that? That's why it was decided that 50% goes to the government for development and infrastructure. That was made clear in a previous show. The people will not put their money in development and infrastructure because they'll say that's the government's job. So the government has to be given the funds to do so. I've not listened to your shows enough to understand what the idea or scope of what you're conveying when you mention the AI tech program. I've heard you recently say that it was ended. Are you referring to the satellites the Alliance took out that was put up by CERN? The Alliance did not take out the AI system, and it was not related to CERN in any way, shape or form either. Two completely different programs. Now the AI tech is linked to the Saturn moon matrix and also the electromagnetic field, which was ran by the parents and others, and that has been stopped from 2013 through late 2015. Now CERN was ended in real terms for the worst aspects of that program in August 2015. I think it was August the 27th, if memory serves me correctly. And that wasn't done by the Alliance or Simon Parkes either. So I hope that helps. But the Alliance they speak of is the SS small p. And I can assure you, none of the SS people are helping humanity one iota. There is no Alliance or SSP saviours. None. What is the current role of Italy in the evolution of affairs on this earth? Well, Italy is kind of dominated by a fake principality, isn't it? No, you know, everything. All roads lead to Rome. You know, like London and like Washington DC, those centres of power need to be crashed and taken over and given back to the people, all three regions. Now, the Pope said he was going to fix things. I've now heard that there's an inside coup to get rid of the Pope because he's decided he's going to fix things. Remains to be seen whether that is correct on either count. It wouldn't surprise me. But Italy is sadly lumbered like London lumbers the rest of the UK, and Washington DC lumbers America and its people. But hopefully one day that whole centre will collapse. How can we, the Patriots, take control of the narratives in school and university textbooks, including the teaching of how emotional IQ and brain IQ contend for domination one over the other? I think we're a long way from, technically we're not, but you know, we have to get the basics correct in the teaching program. The basics are not right. Never mind the higher form of learning and understanding. We need a generation that understands life. At the moment, they understand bullshit and lies. Learning how to pass a test, that's not learning at all. It's not allowing children to think. And if you don't think, you follow. Just follow the script. Copy and repeat after me. Churning out zombies. They're all saying the same thing only. They're all acting the same way. So there's no allowance for critical thinkers or anyone who thinks outside the box. We have to seriously stop stifling the children, because it's hampered the progress of our species badly. And it's up to all parents to take an active role. Just because they go to school doesn't mean you can't stop teaching them in different subjects. Life lessons for a start. Vocational lessons. There's nothing stopping parents doing that. So we can be the change that can then push it into the schools and universities. Heard a lot about black goo and there being two distinct types of it. A loving one from this planet, as well as an alien one which is evil in nature. Can you comment on the validity of this, and are there two distinct types? Not to my understanding, there's only one. Unlike everything else, it can be light or can be dark. But there has been elements of an unbalance of the dark here, so it's highly likely that the black goo operates in the same way, but it operates also by the AI, which is largely, and in my opinion, has already gone down, the old psychotic AI anyway. Is this one of the real motivations for fracking? No. The only one time I ever heard Kim mention the more micro level of our daily living was when she said we will need to learn to manage our estates. So aside from the big picture changes happening, do those of us who are currently setting up our estates and taking back control still proceed onwards with that endeavour? I think by estates, I could be wrong, she means when we all get our sovereignty back. After the countries is declared sovereign, the object is to declare the people sovereign. And so they would then themselves have their own estate, because there's funds in the trust that belongs to everyone. So yes, we'd have to be more financially astute than we are currently in managing our estates and not giving it to middlemen, brokers and snake oil salesmen, one of which we'll cover later. So I think that's what she was referring to. In the past month during Dreamtime, I visited the lower astral nightmare. In both instances, I was being lured or harmed by people in the present that I have issues with. What is the meaning or significance of this? And I'm warning that these people are presently trying to harm, or is it a coincidence, or using faces I recognise? Clearly I'm not shielding properly. Generally in the lower astral, it's less to do with humans. If you're recognising the faces, then it's more to do with your own intuition and perhaps your own fears as well. Of course, those two people that you've met may also be possessed. They may have hosts. And it may be the hosts that are attacking you and not the person involved. So, I hope that helps. It's kind of difficult discerning people's dreams and whatnot. A friend has an invoice for services from their local city. Before it was not paid, it will be charged to the property taxes. This year is being not. Is this a change associated with the trust holding title to all property? No, it's not. Svetlana and Nikolai Levashov, as well as Anatoly Fomenko, reported on a war 7,500 years ago. It was also ended by the peace treaty. No, it wasn't. And it had been won by the positive forces, and as a result of it, the Great Chinese Wall had been built at that time. Yep, that's as I understand it, but not the peace treaty part. I don't agree with that. Isn't there any conflict to the martial law status on Earth since 16,500 years ago? Well, martial law, I'm not too sure I'm making sense of that question. Martial law ended in August 2016, ending 16,500 years of martial rule. So I hope that helps. Many of us would like to submit interesting projects helping and supporting mankind and nature. Nowadays, many of us only have present-day technologies available. Aren't those projects counterproductive, keeping in mind they will be made redundant as soon as, example, extraterrestrial technologies that are hundreds or thousand years ahead of ours would be given to mankind, or those presently hidden technologies would be freely available? There are plenty of technologies that are hidden in the trust, that are hidden in patents globally, and they will be released in stages, and it also has to be phased in and phased out. We've said this many times. People just think, oh, well, let's just have free energy. But it has to be phased in and phased out. Otherwise, a lot of people are going to get upset that they're going to lose their jobs. Now, this frequent reference in alt media that extraterrestrial technologies are hundreds or thousand years ahead of ours is bogus. A lot of their technology is our tech, not theirs. That's why they used humans as slaves, because of our creativity. And they've done it for thousands of years. We had advanced technology hundreds, if not thousands of years, and tens of thousands of years before some of these ET technologies. The Rus, 110,000 years ago, travelling in local and light distance ships. Vimanas, and Vitmaras. And no, they're not Indian. They're the Rus. So that was 110,000 years ago. Anti-gravity craft. But they always tell you technology is the future. It's not. It's way in the past. There is no new technology. We had free energy grids 200 years ago, until certain clowns decided to set fire to places or mud flood them or just deluge them, and then introduced old technology like digging for coal. It's old technology. It's not required, it never has been. But they can't make money on the other one. So, but I wish people would stop saying that the ETs are more advanced than humans, because they're not. Would we receive ET technology helping us, or would we basically depend on our own? We would depend on our own. We don't need their technology. Never have. Is it true that some of the UPU spaceships are more than 10,000 kilometres in diameter? No idea. Some of them may be bigger. It depends on which type. Some of them are bigger than you can imagine. We have a giant spacecraft in the sky every night. Lights up. Sometimes in a crescent, sometimes it's full. I'll wait for time. Let's see if I can listening to your advice on cryptocurrencies, I'm surprised to see Argentina and Paraguay agreeing to a trade deal using Bitcoin, and the Marshall Islands planning on doing the same. Are they making a mistake? Yeah, but the problem is with those countries, they're being hampered badly. Of course, Argentina and Paraguay are both run by the Bush crew and Nazis. Do you know of anything's happening going forward with HR 25? Not currently. If we do get anything, we'll put it in the show. In one of Trump's speeches, where he was describing the types of people pouring into our country, he used the phrase people of all dimensions. Did he misspeak, or is there something more to that statement? Well, I don't know whether he did misspeak or not, but if he didn't, he's correct. A lot of fun and games in this country, particularly in the southwest region, as we found out this week with the Smokies. And they all went up in smoke. According to Harold Kautz-Vella, the black goo guy, the act of learning to read is what gives birth to the ego and our mind chatter. Your thoughts on that? No, I don't agree with that. Sorry. The Urs taught the Rus Aryan Tartarians to build the structures contained in these recent Tartarian videos: gilded mansions, red and white brick power stations, the Vatican, all capital buildings, palaces and cathedrals, some of which seem relatively newer, but they're everywhere on the planet. Were they built by Tartarians, or was the technology hijacked? A case of both. The plans of the Tartarians were then used for the later date ones. We have, an unlimited amount of technology. The problem with technology is all of it is lazy man's tech, because we have our own innate abilities that we have decided to switch off or not use, or not put enough effort into switching back on. People moved whole tonnage of stones by vibration alone, or sounds, creating sounds. We don't need 50-ton dumper trucks. There's a lot of things we could improve if we only worked as much on ourselves. But yes, the Tartarians were based on ancient tech. Of course, they did build not the Tartarian type, but the Rus, the Great Wall of Rus, not the Great Wall of China. And it's at least 7,500 years old, that wall, and still standing. And yeah, a little bit of wind in our country and everything goes flying. I would like to know what happens to the souls of the poor children and animals when they pass after being tortured and killed by the rituals. I think I've mentioned this a number of times. Some of them get completely consumed. It depends where they go. Some of them get chomped on, but most of them get consumed. Is there really a so-called twin flame or counterpart for each of us, or is this a program thing? The use of soulmates and all that is massively overplayed by the New Age group. There's lots of soulmates, and it all depends, like everything else, on what frequency you're resonating at. Now, there's soul groups and there's soul families and soul memory. We've all met people and we think, I feel like I've known them for years. Yeah, it's a frequency memory thing. But twin flames, it's a possibility, but I think it's massively overplayed. And a lot of us that are here were here in the past at certain times, and it's why so many of us are familiar, and why so many are drawn to each other at this moment in time. What is known about Deagle.com and about the reducements of the people? Deagle.com is a military site, so I don't know much about it. As for the reducements of the people, I don't know. That should have been done 7 years ago and it wasn't. Is Trump going to declare our sovereignty and end the Fed? He should have long done it, in my opinion. We'll see what unfolds in the next 2 weeks. I can see Dave jumping up and down now. With Gottlieb resigning from the FDA, what opportunity is for loosening the FDA sanctioning in the industries? And was Gottlieb a placeholder of sorts? It kind of remains to be seen of who he's replaced with. Too often replacements of being one rogue for another, for my liking, likes of Giuliano and a few others. So it's a case of wait and see. Shouldn't the peace treaty apply to most of us on the surface of the planet, as very few are truly native to this planet? In other words, does the peace treaty apply to anything with 46 chromosomes and 48 chromosomes? Indicates what actually is truly native to this planet. The peace treaty applies to all beings on this planet. I don't know why you're differentiating on it, but it applies to all. It applies to the smoky people who are here. It applies to the 39 beings that are below our feet, and it applies to every human. Now, as long as the others are not interfering with us, then the peace treaty's in place. What we do to each other is our own mess to correct. Thomas, I've noticed that there haven't been many earthquakes of 10 kilometres depth recently. Has that technology been shut down? Some of them have. Maybe they haven't got the funds to fire it up as much as they used to. They have to make cutbacks somewhere. Right, I think that's enough questions. I managed to get through quite a few. I watched the last one. I watched a video by George Kavasilas, who stated the pineal gland is a biological implant, and the chakra system is an energetic overlay implemented to control us. There's a few who have said that. People talking about removing them and all that rubbish. They are an energetic system that's there for a reason. Whether the pineal gland is something magical or not, it appears to be the case. I would think the third eye is far more important. And people say, well, that's the pineal gland. Well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't. But the energy system, the problem is not that it's an energetic overlay implanted. The problem is it's being taken over by hosts, and it's not operating fully. And no, it's not hooked into the Saturn Moon system, or wasn't either.